Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Soyam Rupah Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guruh Shri Yutah Padkamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha Namaham Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Okay. Welcome to Bhagavad Gita class. So we will continue our discussion on 9th chapter. Today we might end sooner because we only have few verses left in 9th chapter, and then we will continue 10th chapter next week. So we completed till 9.29 last time, where Lord Krishna says that he is extremely partial to his devotees, even though he is neutral in all respects to everyone, to the entire world, Sarva Bhuteshu. But the last two lines of the 29th verse are very sweet, where he says that Ye bhajanti tumam bhaktya mai te teshu chapyaham. So I live in their hearts and they live in mine, or I am theirs and they are mine. Mai te teshu cha api aham. So they are mine. Mai means mine. So another translation is they are in my heart. So they are mine, a very possessive sense of relationship, as we see between very close relatives. As parents, we can demand from the children, if sometimes the child, let's say we say, get me some food from downstairs. And if he doesn't bring, I can yell at him. You didn't get it for me yet. Go get it. I cannot do that with anybody else except for one who is mine, for one whom I feel a right on, a sort of possessiveness. So it's an extremely close sense of relationship that Shri Krishna is describing here. And we had discussed this, verse 29. Now, Lord Krishna here says that basically there are no exceptions to this. That is the meaning of this verse, 9.30. And by the way, if any questions, you can raise your hands. So 9.30, the essence is that there are no exceptions to Lord's statement in the 29th verse. So in that sense, 29th verse is a very important verse. I think it is one of the memorization verse as well. So to substantiate that how much he considers his devotees to be possessive, or how much he is possessive towards his devotees. He says that even if they do something bad, still they are mine. Like when a child does something bad, the father doesn't disown him. He may try to correct the child, he may try to even scold or chastise the child, but he will never disown. So, in the same way, the Lord will never abandon his devotees. But this verse has to be understood very carefully because it is heavily misused. So first, let us see this verse number 30. Okay, so very famous verse that says, Api chet suduracharo bhajate mam ananya-bhāk sadhureva mantavyaḥ samyak vyavasthito hi saha. So let's break down this verse. Api chet suduracharo. So there are some significant words here which we will analyze in just a second, okay? So please pay very careful attention. This is a very, very important verse because in your devotional life, you may encounter this verse many times. You may, and I will use this word, you may throw around this verse at some times upon others. Sometimes this verse may get thrown upon you sometimes. How to make sense of it? What does it really mean? Because it can mean many things. And I have read several commentaries, mostly Vaishnava commentaries, but some others as well. And there's a lot of variation on this, the meaning of this verse. And I have talked to several devotees on this verse. I have also seen this verse being thrown around or used, and in many people's mind, misused. As I have said, or I will say soon enough, it's a very misused verse. And all these things are there. So it's very important to meditate or to think about what is the meaning of this verse. The more you will think about it, the more you will chintan you will do on this verse, the more wisdom you will bring out, and the more better you will be able to apply it in your life. So let us see this. Api chet. We will deal with this word in the next slide. But it means even if. Suduracharo. Very important word. Suduracharo. Durachar means bad behavior. It's the opposite of sadachar, means good behavior. Achar means behavior. That is why Acharya is known as one who shows by his behavior. So Acharya needs to walk his talk. Anyway, Sadachar means good behavior. Durachar means bad behavior. Sudurachar means very bad behavior. So Lord Krishna is not just saying bad behavior, he is saying very bad behavior. So even if somebody with very bad behavior, api chet suduracharo, what does he, if he is doing what? Bhajate mam ananya-bhāk. If he is doing my bhajan with extreme exclusivity, he is focused solely on me, then what should one do? Sadhureva mantavyaḥ. Mantavyaḥ means to consider, manna, mantavyaḥ. तो उसको साधु मानना चाहिए. One should consider him to be a sadhu. Wait a minute. What did you say? Even if he is having extremely bad behavior, you consider him to be a sadhu? Now, it seems like open season for everybody to do bad behavior and say, I'm a sadhu, and do exclusive bhakti of Bhagavan externally, and you get a clean chit, what is known in common language as get out of jail free card. So that is the misuse potential of this verse. Sadhureva samantavyaḥ. Lord Krishna is giving a clean chit to this person. Sadhureva samantavyaḥ samyak vyavastito hi saha. Why? And he gives a reason. Because he is properly situated in the mind. Okay? The mind word is not there, but properly situated in his bhakti. So that is the breakdown of this verse. The translation given by Srila Prabhupada is, even if one commits the most abominable action, su duracara. So obviously bad behavior is visible through actions, but many other commentaries don't just say that it is one-time action. But durachar means it's a little bit more continued, not just one time, but there is some kind of pattern. May not be a very heavy pattern, but still it is not one time. If he is engaged in devotional service, ananya-bhāk, bhajate mam ananya-bhāk, he is to be considered saintly, sadhureva samantavyaḥ, because he is properly situated in his determination, samyak vyavasthito hi saha. So that is the verse. Now, as I said, it raises a lot of eyebrows. It raises a lot of questions that how to understand this properly. And it behooves us to understand it properly, mainly to apply it on ourselves and also to apply it on others in one way, not in all ways. I'll explain all of this, and if I forget, you can ask questions. So, yeah, I have this slide. I should fix it. I should just talk about 30 and 31 separately. So we'll just keep this aside for a second. Devotee fully engaged never falls down. Kaunteya pratijanihi name bhaktah pranashyati. This will come in 31. Okay, just remind me to separate it out. Okay, even if he behaves offensively, okay, that is sudurachara, or very offensively or very badly. Since he is doing bhajate mam ananya-bhāk, my bhajan with full focus, then again, this is coming in the next verse, kṣipraṁ bhavati dharmatma. We will cover that in just a second. And then there is a bold promise by Krishna. So, okay, so just this is like a summary of these two verses. Let's go back to 9.30 for a second. So 9.30, actually I have the whole verse here. Api chet suduracharo bhajate mam ananya-bhāk sadhureva samantavyaḥ samyak vyavasthito hi saha. Even if one commits the most abominable action, sudurachara, if he is engaged in devotional service. This is the clause, overriding clause. Doesn't matter if you're having very bad behavior or you're engaged, or out of that bad behavior, you're doing bad actions. If he is engaged in devotional service, bhajate mam ananya-bhāk, he is to be considered saintly, sorry for repeating, sadhureva samantavyaḥ, because he is properly situated in his determination, samyak vyavasthito hi saha. Better if I repeat many times, it should get in your head, because it is so important. So let us see a couple of points first. Api chet. Api chet means even if. So Srila Prabhupada's translation starts with that, even if. If you look at the word by word, everybody has their books. Yes, okay. So you should look at word by word. Api chet means even if. What does it mean? Even if. Even if means it is indicating a rarity. Even if, like, what runtime example I can give? I don't know, you go on a, if you come from India where there are bad roads, in America there are like very smooth roads, but even if there is a pothole on the road, you don't think that the American infrastructure is very poor. Even if, first of all, it's very hard to find a pothole, but even if it is there, which the point is that usually it is not there. So it doesn't mean that the volume of such people who will have bad behavior and yet claim to be devotees, or whom you should consider devotees, is very high. That volume is anyway very low, is very rare. Another point is that bhajate mam ananya-bhāk. Here, this bhajate mam ananya-bhāk is not just external. This bhajan is internal. So this verse is not referring to pretenders. There are millions of pretenders. Most of the people in the devotee garb you will meet will be pretenders. So it is not talking about that you should consider. Now, you should consider everybody to be devotee, but it doesn't mean you should go and give your spiritual life in their hands. Consider devotee means do pranam to them, give them all respect, but do not give your spiritual life in their hands just because they are having a devotee garb. Okay, you must test. This is a separate topic. You must test before, or evaluate or judge before you give your spiritual life in somebody's hands. Anyway, so this bhajate mam ananya-bhāk is talking about the internal devotion of a person, which is very hard to see. Okay, you cannot determine anybody's internal mood easily. If one way of determining that is to almost live or associate closely, not on Zoom, not also on a podium where they come, give a lecture and leave, but associate closely with that person over a long period of time, because it is very hard for somebody to fake oneself over a long period of time. That's why family members know our real bhakti very truly, and it's easy to fake in front of others in a temple. So, but the point being that this verse is talking about internal bhakti. Okay, so first of all, the point is that most people with bad behavior will not even externally be devotees, and definitely not internally either. And that is justified from 7.15 itself, which says that there are 4 kinds of people who never turn towards Krishna. What are those 4 kinds of people? 7.16, sorry. Yeah, 7.16, not 9. Did I say 9.16? Anyway. So, yeah, it's written here 7.16. So, Mudha, Naradhama, Maya, Aparita Jnana, and Asura. So these are the 4 types of people who will never even turn towards Krishna, what to speak of being a ananya devotee, ananya bhakta. So such class of people who are really devotees from inside, but exhibit some external bad behavior, are very rare. That is point number 1 to get. Okay. And then Krishna is not saying that he is a devotee or something like that. He could have said many things, but he's clearly saying sa mantavyaḥ is to be considered a devotee. Why it is that being said, to be considered? Because it means that he may not actually be that right now, but you consider him as if. Okay, it's like you can say 18 karat gold or whatever, 22 karat gold. It's not 24 karat, or you can say it's as if it is gold. Something like that. May not be a good analogy, but whatever. But very soon he will become. So next verse, kṣipraṁ bhavati dharmatma. We will come to that. Therefore, consider him to be like that right now itself. No problem. That's what Krishna is saying. Another important point is, for whom is this verse written? This verse is written for, first of all, the devotee himself. And mainly for one who has the official authority to judge. Most of us do not have the official authority to judge others. Who made you the judge of anybody else? So there are certain categories of people who have official authority to judge others. Parent, guru, a teacher. There's a difference between guru and teacher. Teacher here is one who is actually teaching a subject. Guru means one who is providing spiritual guidance and is like the final authority on your resolving your doubts or contradictions or conflicting teachings that you may come across. Authority means any other kind of authority which you have accepted. Maybe your boss at work or in your temple, any authority or whatever maybe, and then ultimately Paramatma. So this verse is not to be used to be judged, to be used as a way to judge others. Oh, you're this or that or that. So with these points, let us try to see what is the meaning. Still, it is pretty bothering that how is it that even if, let us say, we find somebody like that, how is it possible that we should consider him to be a devotee, even though he's committing very bad behavior externally? So you may not judge openly, as in like criticize openly or go and do kirtan of his bad quality. Kirtan of bad quality means go and tell, oh, you know what, he's like this, or you know what, he's like this. All this kind of prajalpa. Definitely one should not do, but in the mind also, how to think of such a person when you see bad behavior in such a person. So this needs to be understood very carefully. So that brings us to this aspect of being the most misunderstood and misused verse. So out of all the readings and discussions and many years of struggling with this verse, here is today my best understanding of this verse. Maybe in few years I may have a more better understanding, more whatever. I may add more points. The understanding continues to evolve. So this is the understanding, my best understanding today. So what this verse is trying to say is that bad behavior that one is exhibiting, let's say, for example, one becomes very angry, is short-tempered, right? Or some people, many times I see myself in this, you ask them anything, the answer will come out in a rough manner. There is, कहते हैं ना, आवाज में मिठास नहीं है. Sometimes the answer, you ask any question, will you like to have prasad? No, not right now, after 1 hour. You could have said the same thing little more sweetly. No, not right now, maybe after 1 hour. Thank you so much. होते हैं ना ऐसे, वो क्या कहते हैं, लाठी लेके जवाब देते हैं, उनके हाथ में हमेशा लाठी रहती है. So as if like, even a simple question is an accusation and the response will be like that, something. Okay, just an example. So you may see bad behavior or extremely bad behavior, whatever that may be. That is less important, what Krishna is saying. What is more important is what is always going on in his mind. That is more important. So when such a person, let us say, you ask him, the answer, his language is, let's say, not very polished or not very civilized. but he may not be always thinking how to make myself more rough, more angry, or whenever anybody will talk to me, what is the worst way to reply. That's not what he's always thinking about. That's just his nature. It's his muscle memory. It is just his conditioning. You see what I'm saying? Internally, always he may be thinking of Krishna. That has nothing to do with the way how he responds or speaks, let's say, in a maybe a with some, maybe, somebody may be using some bad language, vulgar words, some cursing or this or that. He's such a, calls him devotee, and he has done Bhakti Shastri, and he has, he's pujari, and see, when talking normally, he, uses bad words. Maybe that's not what he's thinking all the time. I will use bad words. Here is the new bad word I will use tomorrow. Here is the new, always looking for bad words. That's not the case. That's just some past conditioning before he became a devotee. But you must consider what he is spending most of his time thinking, or what is his mood, what is his basically consciousness all the time. If that is devotional, that's what Krishna is talking about. Now, it doesn't mean that having this bad behavior is a free pass, that, okay, as long as you are that, this bad behavior is, completely overlooked. No, next verse will address that, kṣipraṁ bhavati dharmatma. But what this verse is saying is that consciousness and your constant engagement of the mind and heart is one thing, and your muscle memory, just your material conditioning which shows up in your actions, is another thing. And Krishna personally cares about the former way, way, way more than the latter. Okay, so that is the essence. Now, I'll try to say the same thing in few different ways to make sure that you get it, or we all get it. So the point is, I'll read out this. If one is actively meditating on Krishna all the time, which means bhajate mam ananya-bhāk, and then suddenly does some duracara due to some past conditioning, automatically, accidentally, that's the word Srila Prabhupada uses many times in the purport, accidental. And the moment maybe he does that, he may regret, oh, why I did that. Or, oh, that's not a devotional quality. Maybe I should do something about it, or something like that. Almost like muscle memory. Then that is what Krishna says should be overlooked, and still consider that person like a sadhu. The point, again, in saying it in different words, means that one is, not preoccupied with committing that duracara. He's not always thinking, what is the worst way I will reply next time somebody talks to me? What is the next time the worst words I will use? That's not his meditation. His meditation is Krishna. He's absorbed in Krishna. And somebody comes and talks to him or something, and he's like, just get lost, or don't disturb me, or whatever. And you may feel like he's a complete jerk. So that is what this is saying. So now just some examples. And I didn't put more graphic examples. And obviously things like murder or rape or any such things, you don't commit a murder out of muscle memory, or rape someone out of muscle memory, or out of, that is completely premeditated, unless you're like a psychopath or something, in which case it's a whole different, we're not going into that domain at all. So yes, maybe if you committed a murder and internally, and that too accidentally or not by meditating, and internally one is a devotee, then that has happened. accidentally it happens in a fight or something, and in a completely a fit of rage, you punch the other person and he happens to go and fall on a, in a bad way on a rock, and he dies maybe, and then you're culpable for murder. So it may apply in those cases, I don't know. But I'm talking about things where the constant meditation to kill somebody, you have to get into that mood. Here the point is that one is not in that mood, it is just very spontaneous. So, like, for example, if one is not meditating on eating all the time, oh, when will I get the next food, will it be this or that, and you're always thinking, what's cooking today, what's the menu for tomorrow, what's all this. But when food is offered and somebody comes and says, would you like more, would you, yeah, I would like more, and unable to, then it's spontaneous. That's one just example I wanted to. Or let's say one was not meditating on getting back at someone, thinking for a whole week, next time I meet this guy, here is the lecture I'm going to give him, here are all the points, and you just revise all the points that you will insult and completely, like you said, dress down the other person with, and you have your speech ready, and you meet the person and even go and provoke him so that you can deliver your speech, or as they say, give him the piece of your mind. That is premeditation. But in the heat of the moment, if one becomes angry and shouts, but all the time the mind, all other time the mind is on Krishna, then that should be overlooked, or could be overlooked. So therefore, what is important, so that second example was maybe the example of short temper. Maybe this happens over and over again, and one should look at, if you really want to be someone's judge, first of all, you should not be anybody's judge. The only person you should be the judge of is yourself, and maybe the 2, 3, 4, 5 people you are responsible for. And I'm speaking to, for example, parents. They are responsible for their children, whoever may have 2, 3, 4 children. If you have one child, you're responsible for one, whatever. Nobody's a guru here. I don't see any, so that doesn't apply. Maybe there are teachers, but that is limited to the domain of teaching. If you are teaching mathematics, you cannot go and correct them on, I don't know, how much they are eating. How much they are eating is their business. So, but it's still, a teacher has some expanded rights. A mathematics teacher may try to tell you if you're behaving badly with your students, other students, or whatever. Anyway, so even if you want to judge somebody, you have to be really sure what this person is engaging in most of the time. What is his consciousness? And you don't know that, especially in today's world where everything is so isolated. People talk to even their neighbors through their social media. You don't even know who is your neighbor. You don't even know who is your friend, whom you may meet several times, but communication is all electronic. Even in the office, you communicate with instant message and email instead of just going and talking. So how will you know what is that person's consciousness? It's, first of all, that is the barrier. Let us say you may know, and this may hold true for some very, very close-knit circles, mainly families today, nucleus families. Then one should consider, what is this person's meditation on, and before passing a judgment on that person. And what is important is, what is what is he meditating on? What is he planning all the time? What is he scheming? Maybe he's scheming on how to improve my japa, how to do more, spread this knowledge to more people, how to do this, how to do that, how to serve Krishna. And if you go do something and he just blasts off, that may be a candidate for being overlooked. So if that meditation is on Krishna, then that person is to be considered a sadhu. not that you judge him based on spontaneous reactions or in the fit of the moment. That may not be appropriate. Yes, Shrikar Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. I know you'll probably talk about this later in the Nectar of Instruction section, but this feels somewhat similar to Nectar of Instruction 6.
Yes, I made
Um,
that point.
yeah, sorry, I might have missed it. You made that
No.
point.
If
But
you time travel in the future, you have not missed it.
okay, yeah.
In the future.
Um, so specifically, it's even someone who's a pure devotee who is in this material world can have these faults, right? Like if
May
someone's
have these
angry, they
thoughts.
can make a.
Yeah, may have.
Sorry?
May have
They
these.
may.
Mhm.
Yeah. So how can we understand? I mean, it's the classic question, but how can we understand these faults from a senior devotee or a guru or someone that we look up to, and not, especially like being someone who's not pure, I can't really understand these faults, but sometimes I see them and it's like sometimes I have a bad mentality when I criticize. I tend to criticize, or like at least not externally criticize, but internally criticize. And it's very difficult for me to see what looks like a fault, but then, you know, um, but it's not like
You're
it.
kind of a little bit all over the place, but I'll maybe we can engage in a conversation and you can
Yeah,
let me understand what you're really trying to say. But
sure.
the first point is don't judge anyone.
Right.
Okay, so you're kind of getting into, I think you even got into the point where you see something in a pure devotee or a spiritual master, did you say?
Yeah, or just maybe not like just saying like someone like seeing some like materially negative quality or some like some fault, quote unquote, from some senior devotee, and then like I'll never externally say anything, but internally I can tend
Yeah,
to my
definitely.
mind can tend to drift to go there.
Definitely don't say externally. That would not only, it's not about how you look, looking good aspect. Oh, I didn't say anything. I'm so pure. Not
Right,
that. I mean, that's one aspect about you. But when you say something externally, you are seeding the thought in other person's mind also. Even if the
right,
other person was not thinking that way, now he'll start thinking that way. Oh, yeah, right. This senior quote unquote devotee is such a rascal or whatever.
right.
And you're now, you're doing kirtan of his of
Yeah,
bad qualities, so to say.
right,
So for multiple reasons, definitely it should not manifest in your speech, but
right,
must practice to not manifest in it in one's mind either. That's hard,
right,
but that's the practice. And since it is harder, there will be a period of time uh, till when it will be there in your mind. You can't just turn off a switch overnight and become pure minded. So what to
right,
do then? Till then,
right,
understand the meaning that I am giving you today of this verse and say that, hey, I don't know what the internal consciousness of this person is, unless you have some very concrete way of knowing. And probably the only concrete way of knowing is if that person comes and tells you himself, I was thinking all night of how to insult this other guy, or
yeah,
I was scheming how to mm, be so whatever, exhibit some bad behavior. Then you may know, oh my god, this guy was really you know thinking all night about it. Nobody will come and tell you that. In that case, just assume the best, that his mind is completely um, focused on Krishna internally. I can't see that, and therefore let me give him the benefit of doubt. Now,
right,
somebody who is actively going around and being a jerk, so to say, and it's very clear that he is also thinking like that. Many people say that. out loud. I was thinking like this, and here are my plans. And we see that all around us in the material world, in office politics, or here or there, or this or that. And that's when you know that this is his meditation. Stay away from such people. Still don't say anything to them. You shield yourself from them. But for devotees, I don't think you will see, either they'll be very good pretenders in which you can't make out anyway, or they are truly pure devotees where they are never thinking anything other than Krishna, in which case also you will never know. So best thing is to give them the benefit of doubt and consider them to be senior, pure, or very, very, very advanced, very exalted devotees. But it doesn't mean that on the benefit of doubt, you will give your spiritual life in their hands. Your spiritual life giving into someone's hands cannot be a matter of doubt. That you have to be certain. So therefore, you try to associate more closely, more personally, as much as possible, and then you give your life in someone's hands, or take guidance, or heavy reliance on someone. But that comes after a long period of association at a much deeper level, not just reading their books or listening to their classes on YouTube, or even listening to them on Zoom, where you can do live one-on-one. You just see a small box of the full picture. So what counter question do you have?
No, I think that's you very well explained for me. I mean, yes, I should take guidance of senior devotees, or like I should closely associate with them and evaluate whether they're good association, or if they're like yeah, I mean, all the points you mentioned are very good.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Think of more questions, or because this is a very important verse, and it has a huge potential for being misunderstood, misapplied, and all those things. So it's vital that we get a good understanding of it. And we might see this being told to us. We may see that there may be a person who's really, let's say, we may feel that is behaving really badly and is just being malicious in the mind as well. We may feel that. Somebody else may come and tell us, api ched suduracharo bhajate mam ananya-bhāk. Prabhu, he's a pure devotee. And just the thing may be, and I have had this happen to me more than once, and I am like, wait a minute, I just can't see how this person may be a pure devotee, and you're coming and telling me api ched suduracharo. So two things there. Again, apply the fact that you may not have seen that person, what he is doing, where is his absorption. Okay. And the second thing is, even if you cannot come to terms, even if you are fairly relatively sure that his absorption is not in Krishna, his or her, there are 99.99999% people whose absorption is not in Krishna. It's not your job to clean up the mess. Stay at a distance, and till your doubt is clear that, oh my God, he was really a very good devotee. Then you can go and associate back. Otherwise, maintain a distance and try to find the one or two people who fit this criteria of completely being absorbed in Krishna, and try to get their association. That is the problem with Kali Yuga. We think Kali Yuga is the best, and it's been just said, Harinam Sankirtan, and Tad Hari, what's that? Kalau Tad Hari Kirtanad. And we think that, Kali Yuga is better than Satyuga. Sometimes we get so, into this thing. Kali Yuga is Kali Yuga for a reason. It's hard to even find one person like that to associate with. Okay. So these people are few and far between, and you'd be like the luckiest person on earth to find one such person. But when you find, then you should know that I have hit the jackpot. You don't walk away from the jackpot, you encash it. So if and when you do happen to find such a person, then just, like chipak lo ekdam, chhodna nahi, like that, just never leave them.
One small follow-up.
Association, like a drowning man would grab a log of wood.
Right. Yes, Prabhu. Small follow-up. How do we deal with devotees that you trust, but then they've experienced some sort of a fall down? And then it's much more difficult to trust
How do
that
you
devotee.
down? That's the big question. Okay.
Like,
So
yeah.
So if you have put your trust in someone, let's say,
Yeah.
and this fall down is also a very misused term. So somebody may pass a predicament that, oh, this person fell down. Now, the statement has been issued by the top authority, and this person has been branded as a fall down. What does it really mean? And somebody who's constantly doing bad things, most likely premeditated, oh, apichet suduracharo for that person, and this person did something and is being like officially branded a fall down. Use your intelligence and is one thing, and define fall down. There is an example, for example, in one of the commentaries, that even if you see a pure devotee with a prostitute, okay,
Right.
what would you say? What would you say?
Yeah, and tell you that.
Is it a fall down?
I mean, no, it's not unless they're acting in a certain way. It's not a fall down. Like Haridas Thakur.
Exactly. Haridas Thakur was a prostitute for 3 whole days.
Yeah.
Exactly. Maybe they're trying to reform the prostitute. So just being with a prostitute, for example, is not a fall down. For example, you must go. So anyway, and that also depends. One must think and evaluate, hey, why did I put my trust? Sometimes people put their trust too soon. I have seen that happen many times. And somebody's like, oh, I just got this wave of my heart melted on seeing this person and this and that. That also happens, in boy girl, pehla pyar, that, and then, after 1 week, you're like, that was the worst person ever. And, so what happened to that, made for each other in heaven, thing. It may be mind tricks that the mind is playing on you. So some people put their trust too soon. So you must evaluate also, hey, go back and replay in your mind, what made me put my trust in this person, and go back and evaluate. Use your intelligence is the point. And finally, if you're unable to come to a conclusion, and if it's really the matter of putting your trust and your spiritual progress in the hands of them, step back, maintain a distance, don't disrespect, and all that. What else?
I can follow up later for the briefs if there's more.
Okay.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate.
Okay, if there's more follow-up, I'll be happy to discuss this.
Okay. Oh, I guess I have one follow-up for you. Small. Wasn't there a place for this verse? I don't remember which commentary, but a commentary for this verse stating something along the lines of this verse is meant for specifically for Vaishnava aparadha? Or am I
talk about that in this slide? So you're a little bit ahead of.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Okay, 9.31. So there may be others. So by the way, okay, I think I'm not sharing. So there may be other scenarios where this may apply, but what I have described is the most sort of biggest scenario. Okay. It includes also some one-time thing, I said it's like what you're meditating on, and it's more like muscle memory and conditioning. That's the general and the hardest to understand, but one can obviously understand one-time, what do you say, quote unquote, digressions or fall downs or whatever it may be. For example, you may see as a completely calm and very peaceful person, and one day you see him like yelling at the top of his voice because something really bad happened or something triggered him or something very personal. And so you may see one-time digressions as well, and those are definitely much more easier to understand and overlook. So what I have dealt with in the last whatever half an hour is the difficult part of it, and I think all the other corner cases, so to say, are included in that whole discussion. 31. So then what happens? What does Krishna say? Kṣipraṁ bhavati dharmatma. So I'll read the verse. Shashvat shantim nigacchati kaunteya pratijanihi name bhaktah pranashyati. So first, Krishna is saying that kṣipraṁ bhavati dharmatma. Very quickly, he will really become a very, very well-behaved, righteous, good-behaved person. So that means today he is not. You have to, that's why mantavyaḥ, not that he is, you should consider to him to be as good as Mahatma. That was the meaning of samantavyaḥ. And it's becoming more clear that kṣipraṁ bhavati, very soon he will actually become a Mahatma or a Dharmatma. Same meaning, Mahatma, Dharmatma. The connotation is the same. And Shashvat Shantim Nigacchati. Shashvat Shantim means permanent. Shantim, he will be calmed down, or his vasanas, his propensities will be calmed down, not temporarily, permanently. That's a very important point. Very important point. And look at the title of this slide. I have titled it, The Power of Bhakti. And this, I'm sure many of you can draw correlations to this, to power of the holy name. Of course, chanting the holy name is one of the most potent activities of bhakti, but it applies to all of bhakti as well. So this verse is really speaking about the power of bhakti. That not only bhakti quickly rectifies or removes all these bad, even external qualities. And bhakti is defined as in the previous verse, which is bhajate mam ananya-bhāk. His mind, his heart, his whole consciousness is fully focused on Krishna. That's what his internal meditation is. Because of that bhakti in his heart, even the external things will be very soon removed. Now, very soon doesn't have a time frame in minutes, hours, months, weeks, years. Okay, very soon means very soon. You have to take it in a relative sense. You also cannot say, "Arey, 3 months are over, still not fixed." Then it means he is not doing bhajate mam ananya-bhāk. No, it may mean 30 years. Depends on how strong the conditioning is. May take a whole lifetime. This conditioning or muscle memory, so to say, has built up over trillions and trillions of lifetimes. So even if one lifetime is taken up to solve it or to fix it, it would still fall under the meaning of or definition of kṣipraṁ. Kṣipraṁ means very soon. And we see in devotees, and it's not to say that, oh, I'm just trying to whitewash the word kṣipraṁ. It is lifelong. At least in this life, it is. No, that's not what I'm saying either. I'm saying in the most entrenched cases, it may be that But we see people who are having bad qualities and this, and I have seen in myself and many other people that certain bad qualities, certain things go away. So there is demonstrable, and in other people, demonstrable improvement in qualities occurs definitely. So kṣipraṁ has a meaning. It is like it's front and center. It does work. Bhakti works. But I'm saying in the most entrenched, or the most, क्या कहेंगे उसे, जो बहुत गाढ़ी, ऐसे जो वासनाएं हैं, वो may take time. The most deep rooted, may take more time, and still it would be called kṣipraṁ, or very soon. Okay, but once it goes, never comes back. That is the meaning of shashvat shantim nigacchati, that one attains peace from that anartha, or from that shortcoming. Then it never comes back. So bhakti is permanent, or it yields permanent results. That is the beauty of bhakti. Material world is temporary, but bhakti is permanent. It yields permanent results. Just like when you go to the spiritual world, you never come back. So it is permanent. Similarly, when these qualities go away, they never come back to you. And that is why Lord Krishna says, Kaunteya pratijanihi. So, okay, before we go there, let's move forward in the slide here. So due to what this verse is saying, due to one's constant absorption in Krishna, such bad habits also go away. They also go away. It's not like those bad habits, those spontaneous bad habits that are there, they stick around. Ultimately, they go away as well. But while they are taking their time to go away, sadhureva samantavyaḥ. Please consider one to be a devotee or a sadhu. Now here comes the point of duracara versus aparadha. Duracara means this kind of bad behavior, okay, which is more spontaneous or accidental. Or at least accident means what? You don't intend to do it. That's what an accident is, right? Accident means you didn't intend to do it, it just happened. Versus aparadha. Aparadha meaning is that one of the thing that is within the meaning of aparadha is that it is premeditated. So that you know that you shouldn't do it. When it is about to happen, you get the thought, I shouldn't be doing it. And still you think, Arey, doesn't matter, he's a loser, let me shout at him anyway. Whatever it may be, the thought. So then it becomes premeditated. Whether it was premeditated for long time or short time, doesn't matter. Premeditated is premeditated. That is aparadha, which means you are making a conscious choice to do that aparadha. Otherwise, it is not aparadha, it is duracara. Okay, so either way, now, if one is constantly doing aparadha, that means one is not a devotee. Cannot. If one is premeditated on the offense, by definition, one is not doing ananya-bhakti, because your mind has something anya, something else, which is how to do this aparadha, how to do this thing, that thing. You cannot be doing ananya-bhakti. You cannot have it both ways. So obviously, it is not ananya-bhāk, and then 9.30 does not apply. Yeah. So accidental. Yeah. I think I've just said this so many times. I think it's clear. Yeah, behavior. And mostly such behavior is consistent with everyone. If it is selective, that means there is some meditation. Oh, with this person I will shout, with this person I will not shout. Then it is mostly like that. So if you're somebody, let's say, has a rough behavior, you see whether it's only with me or with everyone. That should give you some clue. Arey, to sabhi ke he's like that with everyone. Chalo, let's just, let me not take offense, or let me not get too upset with him. That's his way of speaking. So, that's okay. If he's doing bhajan, I have met such people. Moment they will come in, what are you doing? No, the moment they come, you begin to feel afraid, even if before they speak something. So it's okay, that's their nature. You see what kind of bhajan they are doing. If their bhajan they are doing is very nice, that's okay. And some people will come and say very sweet things, very this thing, but then you will know that they are, stabbing you in the back. So then you can, use your intelligence. So the point here is, now we are going into this point of shashvat shantim nigacchati. That point we are focusing on. That absorption, why is that the case? It took trillions of lifetimes to get you to the point of having that behavior, duracara, correct? You had to practice it so much. Now you have become expert at that duracara, or in that very bad behavior. But bhakti is so powerful that kṣipraṁ, just by doing ananya-bhakti, very soon Krishna says one gets rid of that. Now you can imagine how powerful bhakti is. Your trillions of years of tapasya, so to say, of doing that, practicing that bad behavior, bhakti is able to eradicate it quickly. How powerful bhakti is. That is what is being shown. So, because bhakti is so powerful, that's why it can eradicate the deepest and the most, from trillions of lifetimes that you have been doing, it can eradicate it. And never to be touched again. Shashwat. The fix is permanent. You don't go back again. And there's a beautiful reference. I will not go into it. It will take a long time. You should go into it. Very famous verse. Vimukta manina. That all these people who have, other than bhakti, who have gone through this path of jnana and all, they may reach very high levels of spiritual advancement in their life, and they can fall down from there because they have not adopted bhakti. They have not taken the shelter of your lotus feet. That is why these other paths are not shashwat. You have to continue to be, very, very vigilant, and still you may get, attacked by your past conditioning, and therefore it is not permanent. You have to always be on your toes. Whereas 33rd verse says that bhakti is so sweet that once these anarthas are gone, or this duracara is gone, it does not come back, and even anarthas go away. Duracara means sadhureva samantavyaḥ. Anartha means then not so much of a sadhu, much less than a sadhu, but still one is, even those go away with bhakti, and that is the power of bhakti. And then comes the two famous lines, Kaunteya pratijanihi, declare it. Shri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, declare it in a very loud voice with bugles and drums. Like, just let it be known to every single soul in the world that na me bhaktah pranashyati, my devotee never perishes. So one who has become Krishna's devotee, sooner or later, all his bad qualities, whether they are premeditated, which means one is on the path, one can do premeditation, it's not ananya bhakti, but if, as long as you're doing some portion of bhakti, it's continuing, it's to work on the anarthas. And then if one is doing ananya bhakti, then any last remaining conditioning, everything is wiped out, completely wiped out. And the devotee does not perish. Na me bhakta pranashyati means he does not go back into material conditioning. He stays at the level. So bhakti is always, always, you don't go back in bhakti. It yields permanent results, completely permanent. In all the other paths, the permanence comes only at the end, when you attain moksha. Till then, you always have to be on your toes. There is every chance of falling down. Once you attain moksha, then there is permanence. But in bhakti, like Haridas Thakur, even the prostitute tried to lure him for 3 full days. He made her into a devotee rather than she being able to contaminate him. So bhakti protects the devotee's bhakti. Bhakti Devi or Krishna protects the bhakti of a devotee. And another sweet point, Lord Krishna says, or acharyas say, why does he say to Arjuna, you go and declare? He could have said, aham pratijanihi, I declare. Krishna could have said. But everybody knows that, if Krishna says something, he may fall back or what's it? He may renege. Is that the right word? Go back on his promise. But if his devotee says something that my Krishna will do so and so, then Krishna becomes bound to honor that. He will never let his devotee's word go in vain. He may let his own words go in vain. So basically, Krishna is closing all back doors behind him. He is telling Arjuna, you go and declare, because once you declare, I have no back door left. I have to honor your words more than I could ever honor my own words. So you go and declare, and I will really have no back door then, and I will make sure that my bhakti will always be completely preserved within the devotees. So bhakti is so powerful, so strong, and so sublime. So that's what this verse is talking about. Okay, I'm just looking at my notes and seeing if there's anything that I should have spoken and didn't speak. Yeah, okay. (32) Okay, so basically, this last thing, why isn't it there here? It says the same thing applies, the same meaning applies as in Nectar of Instruction, verse number 6. So verse number 6 says that, how it starts. I can't remember the starting of verses for some reason, especially in Krishna. No, that is 5th. Come on, how does number 6 start?
Drishtay swabhava janite
Drishtay swabhava janite vapushascha doshay na prakritatvam iha bhakta janasya pashyet gangam bhasam na khalu buddha phena pankay brahmadravatvam api gacchati nira dharmai. So drishtay swabhava janite. Drishtay is a very important word, which means that which you are seeing. Suppose somebody made you a judge, even in your mind. Of course, don't be a judge. Definitely don't go and say things like that to others. But drishtaihi, in one's swabhava, in one's nature, same thing as duracara. Drishtaihi swabhava janite vapu cha, or in his bodily actions. So, in his speech or in his body, if you see any defects which is arising out of material conditioning, and swabhav also means it is material. It is the material conditioning which is causing this deficiency. Vapushascha doshe na prakritatvam iha bhakta janasya pashyet. That one should not consider that the devotee is actually afflicted with this disease. It is very, very temporary, and it is external. It can only be seen externally. It's not there internally. Just like, and one should consider him to be a devotee at heart. Just like, how does the third line start? Bhakta janasya pashyet gangam bhasalu Budbhuda phena pankaj, just like in the Ganga, only in the monsoon season, not otherwise. You see a lot of mud. This time when we went to Haridwar, we exactly saw that. We exactly went in a season which was monsoon season, and the Ganga was so full of sand and silt coming down from the Himalayas. Must have been like really rich in minerals and everything, but it was just very muddy. So the Ganga will seem so muddy and so, bubbles and foam will be there. You may not even feel like going and taking a dip. But at its heart, and thousands and millions of devotees will take a dip because they know the nature of the Ganga is pure. And all these things are simply external characteristics and completely to be ignored. At its heart, Ganga can never be impurified by these external deficiencies. So that's exactly the meaning of this as well. So just like we see Ganga as pure, we must see such devotees. First, you need to know this devotee is a Ganga or some other river. So that is a big thing. Not every river is Ganga. So first you must, or not you must, first of all, don't even bother about others. That's the first line. If at all you have to, you must, then give them the full benefit of doubt. But if you really want to, then you must evaluate what is his meditation, what is his absorption in for his, where is his heart really placed. And if that is Krishna, then he is like the Ganga. Okay, otherwise he is some other river. Okay, 31. Okay, 32 and 33 are also together, just like 30 and 31 were together. 32 and 33 say that Mam hi partha vipashritya ye pisyuh papayonayah striyo vaishyas tatha shudras tepi yanti param gatim. And I'll read the next one as well because it's a continuation. Kim punar brahmana punya bhakta raj rishayas tatha anityam asukhaṁ lokam imam prapya bhajasva mam. So the translation by Srila Prabhupada is, O son of Pritha, those who take shelter in me, mam hi partha vyapa ashritya. Mam hi, me only, which again talks about ananya. Okay, so mam hi, mere mein hi, aur kahin nahi, mere mein hi, mam hi. Partha, my dear Arjuna, vyapashritya, who have taken shelter in me only. Even if, now previous verse was talking about even if, again also api chet, here it is ye api. Even if they are born in a low birth, papa yonayaha, which means a low birth. And some examples of low birth are given here. And this may tick some people off. Striyaḥ. Oh, wait a minute. Gender, what you call? Stri is lower, what you call? Male dominance or whatever. That is not the case. So I'll explain that a little. Striyaḥ, Vaishya is also included in that category. Shudra also is included in that category. So Striya, Vaishya, Shudras, Tepi Yanti Param Gatim. They also equally go to the topmost destination. Param Gatim. Ye te api. Even they. Api means even, just like api chet or ye api. Te api yanti. They also attain the same param gatim, not param -1 or next highest. No, the same highest, param gatim. This param gatim, Krishna is very consistent throughout Bhagavad Gita. He has used this word param gatim. That's the highest destination. So let's understand this. So Papa yonayaha means, so one must understand that the current birth may be in a lower family. And it's not just about labeling the family as low. It really means that it's not the surname or the last name that matters. It really means the quality of the family. The last name may be Sharma or Mishra or Shukla or Tiwari or whatever, what do you call? Chaturvedi and all the other Bharadwaj and all the topmost Brahminical titles. But it's the quality of the family where one is going to get a certain type of upbringing, a certain type of culture, a certain type of values. So that is the first thing that is being talked about. And Srila Prabhupada, and not just Prabhupada, all acharyas in recent times have said that in Kali Yuga, almost everybody is a Shudra, because the Brahminical culture has been completely lost. So, but one gets that as a result of one's karmic accumulation. If you have accumulated a lot of karmic baggage, sinful baggage, especially we are talking about, it's not that Krishna will arrange your birth in a very high class family and then make you suffer. Making one get a low class family birth itself is the starting point of the suffering. All right. So getting a low birth or a birth in a poor quality, let's say, family is just a consequence of the sinful reaction. You already start on a low level, and then you may go lower or whatever may be the case according to your sinful reactions that you have accumulated. And those who have accumulated a lot of pious reactions, they may get a very good family, good birth where they can make further progress. So the situation of the family is simply just the head start that you get in the positive or negative direction, depending upon the positive or negative credits that you have accumulated. It's as straightforward as that. Just like if you commit a very sinful action, you may start with the highest maximum security prison with solitary confinement. You can say, hey, I'm also going to jail. This other guy is also going to jail. Why do I get to go into solitary confinement and he goes into some very easy prison? There is an answer for that. There's a reason for that. So same thing applies in our case as well. So that's the first thing. That's why Lord Krishna is saying this verse is focusing on those who have negative credits. And therefore, first of all, they may get such a birth. But Lord Krishna is saying even such people are not disqualified from Krishna Bhakti. What he's saying, and then he's mentioning few categories: Striya, Vaishya, Shudra. Now these families are where there are at least Vaishya and Shudra, and I'll come to Striya. Vaishya and Shudra are families where there is more materialism, material mindset. Again, one can say Kshatriya also is material mindset, but Lord Krishna does not use the word Kshatriya in the next verse. He uses the word Raja Rishi, which means that devoted or pious-minded Kshatriyas. Kshatriyas can also be very rascals. And that is why Parshuram took avatar to annihilate 21 generations of Kshatriyas, because they had become very corrupt. The most corrupt class or category in the society became the Kshatriyas, because they have the power. I mean, just like today, the most corrupt people are the politicians. They have the power to suppress and oppress, and they misuse the power. What is the point of having a Shudra who may have very bad mentality, but he has no power to do anything about it? Fine, he can sit in his house and, think about all the bad things he can do, but he has no means or no power to execute his bad intentions. So that person is not very harmful. But a Kshatriya, or one who is in power, if he has bad malicious intentions, he can actually cause a lot of damage. And that is why Lord Parshuram took birth or appeared and highlighted just he was like completely like he was the anti-kshatriya. Anybody who's kshatriya, chop. So that is the reason why in the next verse we will see Raja Rishi mentioned, not specifically kshatriya as a word. Anyway, but that's next verse. So here we are seeing Vaishya Shudra because the mentality of Vaishya Shudra, again, it's not your last name. Goyal or Agarwal is Vaishya, or I don't know what are the Shudra last names, but these are some of the common Vaishya last names, Agarwal or Goyal. My last name is Goyal from a what you call material standpoint. So it's not about that. It's about the quality being a little more bodily, material consciousness. And Stri, why it is mentioned here is because it is a lower birth, because in general, in society, a woman is exploited by the man. And who exploits whom? The more powerful exploits the less powerful, or the less, I don't want to say power as like your muscular power, but in any way it may be, whether it is emotional level, the women are more trusting. So they put their trust easily into others. And what happens in the Kali Yuga, especially when you put your trust easily into someone, you will get exploited. They are obviously, there is physical aspect as well, that there is, that's why, there's this big discussion about how these men are entering women's sports and breaking all world records. And there's obviously rightly a movement to disallow that. I fully believe in the fact that that should not happen. So, but it shows that muscular strength is more in the men than in the women. We have proof in terms of the sports, which is all about muscular, many sports, not chess, for example, but let's say, I don't know, running or whatever, high jump, long jump, swimming, whatever it may be. Has shows that, so men are slightly more stronger. So one may feel that yes, the body of a woman is a little bit of a subject to being taken advantage of by the other half of the society, and that is why it is being called as the disadvantaged half. So that is the understanding, but that is not the focus of this verse, to say that women are disadvantaged in that sense. Now, by the way, there is a beautiful verse in the Bhagavad Gita, 10 point, somebody can help me to find out where the quality, I think it is 10.33. The qualities of a woman are mentioned, that these are the qualities that a woman exemplifies. Maybe this is the right time for me to bring it up. Can find out.
34, Prabhuji.
34. Okay, +1. All right. Yeah. So among women, I am fame, kirti, fortune, shri, fine speech, vak, cha narinam, and few more, smriti, memory, medha, intelligence, dhriti, steadfastness, and kshama, forgiveness or patience. So these are the beautiful qualities of a woman, and that's why, whether it be a boy or a girl, children always love their mothers, I think, more than they're just more attached to the mothers. So mothers are so much more, they have so much more to give. And sometimes in the material world, the one who gives is considered weaker. And that is the meaning of this verse in terms of placing it at a disadvantaged level. Okay. But the point of the verse is that even those who are disadvantaged are not disadvantaged from bhakti. A Brahman has the same capability to do bhakti as a Shudra. That is the point. It's not that they can reach the same destination, that is true, but the criteria for reaching the same destination are also the same. Or, in other words, a Brahman is as disadvantaged as a Shudra to perfect his life through bhakti. Brahman may have other kinds of impediments. Oh, I'm a Brahman, like pride, arrogance, and those kind of things may be there in a Brahman because of his high birth, high education, good facilities. A Kshatriya may have opulence, strength. Those could be drawbacks or impediments to one's progress in bhakti. So what Krishna is saying, that all are equal, regardless of who you are. So if one has taken my complete shelter, mam hi vyapa ashritya, then anyone, there is nobody who is, for bhakti, there is no head start. For going to Swarga or for going to higher planets, maybe they have a head start. But for bhakti, there is no head start that anyone has. It is just a change of consciousness that has to occur. Yanti param gatim. Next verse. Then what to speak of? So even if you think that the lower or less advantaged ones have this opportunity, what to speak of those who are not disadvantaged? One should use your advantages and dovetail it towards bhakti. Kim punar brahmana punya bhakta rajarishayas tatha. What to speak of the Brāhmaṇas, those who have accumulated the punyas? How much more this is so for of the righteous Brāhmaṇas, the devotees and the saintly kings. Now, the devotees do have a advantage from their past life or so on, but not the Brāhmaṇas or the... Now, Raja Rishaya, if the Rishi is talking about those who are already practicing bhakti, then they may have a head start, but otherwise everybody is equally disadvantaged. Therefore, anityam asukhaṁ lokam imam prapya. Imam prapya means anyway you have attained this anityam asukhaṁ lokam. Believe it or not, all you have to do is look at yourself. You are in this material world. Don't be in an illusion that you are anybody higher or lower. It is anityam, same thing as in 8th chapter. Dukkhalayam ashashvatam. Same thing. Asukham is dukkhalayam, anityam is ashashvatam. So anityam asukham lokam imam prapya. Already you are here. Prapya, you have already attained it. Better to perform bhakti. Bhajasvamam. So bhakti is for everybody who is in the material world, regardless of whether you are Brahman or Shudra. Bodily consideration does not matter. It does not matter. That is the focus of 32 and 33. Everybody in the material world is equally destitute, is equally what you call handicapped. Nobody has a head start. That is the point. So don't think, Arey, I am already disadvantaged. Now no point in starting bhakti. No, one should not think like that. The greatest of the Brāhmaṇas may fall down from their Brahminical position and get a very low life in the next birth. Or we have seen, so next slide, I have so many examples of pure devotees, and I start from the sort of all the categories. So women, there are so many women who are pure devotees, starting with, of course, the gopis, the highest, not just pure devotees, but the purest. number one, topmost. Nobody beats them. Nobody at all. Even the greatest of devotees want to take place at the dust of the feet. They want to become a particle of dust. Brahmaji says, I want to become a dust, a blade of grass at the feet of the Vrajvasis. Brahmaji is saying. So in Bhagavatam, so gopis are women, by definition they are women, at least in their material form, when they appeared 5,000 years ago. Mother Kunti, the mother of Pandavas, pure devotee. Mother Devahuti, in third canto of Bhagavatam. Draupadi, the wife of Pandavas. Shabri from Ramayana, very poor, and she was not just a woman, she was a Shudra woman. Okay, so double. And Mother Sachi, the mother of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Mother Janava, the wife of Lord Nityananda, and so many. Again, this is not a class about list of devotees, but just to show that when one becomes a devotee, woman, Shudra, Vaishya, Brahmana, man, woman doesn't remain a concern. One is then a Vaishnava. Bodily constraint or bodily title falls away. Brahman Patnis, yes. We just discussed long series on Brahman Patnis. They were Brahmana Patnis, so Brahmana, fine, not Shudra. At least they were women, right? And that's actually classic example how foolish one can be. That whole chapter is actually should be, yes, you're very right. That whole chapter is exemplifying this point. Whether being Brahmana and man, how idiotic they were. What was the worst word that was used? Kshudrasha bhuri karmani. Kshudrasha bhuri karmani. Balishu manina something. Balishu. What is that? Somebody can look up. 10.23.9 maybe. Balishu Vittamanina, maybe Vittamanina. Is that correct? Vriddhamanina. Yeah, very wise. So Kshudrasha Bhuri Karmani Balishu Vriddhamanina. I think that's the full line. Such an important line. All these idiotic, foolish Balishu, their intelligence is worse than a child's intelligence. And they consider themselves Vriddhamanina, so intelligent. And then they become the students, or they take shelter of the feet of their wives when they realize. So wonderful example of the wives of the Brahmanas. Then Shudras, Vidura was the son of the maid servant. Bodily wise, he's Shudra, but he's such a pure devotee. Sanjay, the charioteer of Dhritarashtra. Guha, the boatman who crossed Lord Ram. Then Vaishyas, all the Vrajvasis are Vaishyas, including Nanda Maharaj. So, all the Vrajvasis are either women or Vaishya in that category, nobody higher than that. So all the Vrajvasis fit into 9.32. No, there may be one or two Vrajvasis who are Brahmanas like Madhu Mangala and so on, but most of them fit into 9.32. So if you are a woman or Vaishya, you need to realize that you are in the best company of the Vrajvasis. Kshatriyas, so many Kshatriyas, so many Pandavas and so on. Brahmanas, there is just infinite or too many to mention. Even demons, so-called bodily born in demoniac family. Most famous examples, Prahlad Maharaj, Vitrasur, Bali Maharaj, and so on and so. And even Jagai and Madhai became pure devotees after coming in contact with Lord Nityananda. In Navadvip, we have Samadhi of Jagai and Madhai Maharaj. They were known as Jagai Madhai Maharaj. They even initiated others. They became initiating guru. We have a parivar of Jagati Madai, disciplic succession, and they were the rascals. Even animals, what to speak of humans, animals can also be pure devotees. Jatayu, Gajendra, and so many other examples are there. Okay. So the point of this verse is that bodily birth or bodily consideration does not matter. I mean, luckily we are not animals, so we are all humans here. And we have just such a huge opportunity to engage in bhakti. One must not waste human life. Human life is so important, so important. In Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 6, first verse is very important by Prahlad Maharaj, where he says that one should not, I mean, obviously it's said so many times one should not waste human life, but that's a direct verse in Bhagavatam which says one should make proper use of human life, and not only in adulthood or retirement, but right from childhood. Right from childhood, 7.6.1. One should engage in bhakti. Okay. So the point is, all you need to be is human. Doesn't matter if you are man, woman, or Vaishya, or Shudra, or Kshatriya, or Brahmana, or this or that. It does not matter. That is the point. The point is not, oh, there's a hierarchy here. Man is better than woman, or Brahman is better than Shudra. That's not the point. If that's the takeaway you are taking, you missed the point. Okay. Last verse of 9th chapter. Very famous verse. Manmana bhava madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mameva vaishyasi yuktvaivam atmanam matparayanaha. Now, some of you may be wondering, this is not a memorization verse for Bhagavad Gita Bhakti Shastri. How come? The answer is because there is a limit on the number of verses to be memorized. So instead of this, the other verse is 18.65, where the first line is exactly the same. That is a memorization verse. So instead of having both verses which have very similar meaning and almost the same words, the choice was to pick one of them and, have some other verse instead of this. So that's the reason why this is not a memorization verse, because we have 18.65. Okay, so what is this verse? One final time Krishna says, Man manaha. Mat manaha. Man manaha means mat manaha. When you join it, it becomes man manaha. Mat manaha. In your mind, in your mana, keep me. Which basically means that is the essence of bhakti. Externally comes second. Again, as is more than evident from all the discussion we did in the last 1 hour, what is inside has way more weightage than what is outside. Okay, so first focus on the inside. Now, sometimes some people may say focus on the outside, fake it till you make it. It doesn't mean you become a pretender. That's the wrong meaning. The value in that saying is that while you are focusing on the internal because it is harder, you may try to engage in some external activities, even though mechanically, or even though your mind is not fully into it, your heart is not into it. Maybe the external activities that practice will inspire or will remind you constantly of the internal consciousness or the absorption. That is the point. So fake it till you make it means not just fake it, let it remind you always, let it inspire you, and then you might make it. That would be the full sentence. Okay. So fake it till you make it definitely does not and should not mean that it is encouraging mithyachar, or it is encouraging any kind of pretense, conscious pretense, malicious pretense. That is completely to be avoided. Then you are fueling the sense gratification material fire. Don't do that. Anyway, therefore, the most important is internal man manaha. Keep me in your mind always, always. And bhava mad bhakto, become my devotee. That is the meaning of becoming my devotee, but it also includes some external aspects. So become my devotee is a generic aspect which includes internal plus external. So Bhavamat Bhakta has two aspects, internal and external. Internal has already been talked about, Man Manaha. External will be talked about in the next two words. Those are external. What are the external things? Mat Yaji, worship me. And Yaj means external acts of worship. Of course, internally not thinking, oh, when this will be over, and now I will go and, sit in front of Netflix and watch my favorite season or show. So it clearly means, Madhyaji means while doing acts of worship, also absorb your consciousness, your mind in me, both. But these two are external. Worship me, Madhyaji, Maham Namaskuru, do my namaskar, which is also an external activity by its pure definition. Of course, it means also focusing on Bhagavan internally, but as a sadhana, as a practice, one should do these external things and try to develop the internal consciousness in the meantime. Because definitely internal development is harder than external. There is no doubt about it. Externally, I became devotee many, many years ago. I put very perfect tilak. I have bought the best kurtas from Vrindavan. I can tie the dhoti very nicely. I can recite, now I'm forgetting, but I can recite all the shlokas, this, that. Externally, I am almost pure devotee. Internally, I am still, trying to make progress, still struggling after so many years. So, we all can realize that external is so easy to do, but it is the internal that takes time. But one should constantly, sincerely try to keep working on the internal. External, one should not stop at that. So when this verse is saying Matyaji Mam Namaskuru, it's not focusing on only the external. That's why Man Manaha is first. Okay, so do that first. Focus on the internal and do the external, continuing to focus on the internal. Man Manaha Bhava Mad Bhakto Madhyaji Mam Namaskuru. So do this. And in the next two lines, the result of doing that is explained. What is the result? That Mam Eva Ishyasi Yuktvavam, by such complete absorption in me. So the translation is, engage your mind always in thinking of me, become my devotee, offer obeisances to me, namaskuru, and worship me. So Prabhupada has flipped it, that's okay. Yaji, Mat Yaji, being completely absorbed in me in this way. So again, the focus is on internal. Mam eva yashyasi yuktva, completely being yukta in all faculties in me. Mam eva, again, only me, or fully immersed in me. Atmanam madparayanaha, you will come to me. So being fully engaged in my bhakti, you will come to me. Mam evaishyasi. Atmanam matparayanaha, completely devoted to me. So Atmanam matparayanaha is completely devoted to me. Mam evaishyasi is you will come to me. I think I flipped that. Okay. So The point here is, this verse may sound like Krishna is saying, do this to me, do this to me, do this to me. Man mana, bhav mad bhakta, mad yaji, mam namaskuru. Always the whole thing is about man, me. So why is Krishna saying that? He's pleading us. One should not think that he is demanding us. He's pleading us to become his devotee. This is a plea. Please is to be understood there. And why so many times? Because we are so dull-headed, and not even dull-headed. No, we actually are not dull-headed. We are so bahirmukh. We are so averse to Krishna that we need these multiple reminders. And that is why Krishna is giving us so many reminders. And is trying to say, one can say, why is Krishna saying same thing so many times? We have to, just like with our child. We have to say so many times, finally after 10 years, they get it. Isn't it? So it's the same thing. It's not like we give different advice to the child. Whenever you go out, call me. Whenever don't do it. They don't do it. They don't do it. Maybe finally they will. And finally what we say, जब तुम्हारे बच्चे होंगे तब पता चलेगा. When you will be the parent, then you will understand. So fine. So that is what is Krishna is saying, that please do this. Otherwise, ultimately when life will kick us out of our own actions, when suffering comes, then we will turn to Bhagwan. दुख में सुमिरन सब करें, सुख में करे न कोई. Right? Okay, so that brings us to the end of this chapter. Last time we had these discussions on Nam Aparadha, so there are these slides. And then next time we will start chapter 10. Okay, so we are ending 10 minutes early. Any comments or questions? Okay. So we can end here. Thank you very much for your attention, and we will so my wife just stepped away. We have class next week, I think, again. Tomorrow there is no class of Bhagavatam because we have visiting devotee in.
Yes, we have class next week.
What?
We do have class next week.
Next
Yes.
week we will have Bhagavad Gita class, and Bhagavatam class also might be there. Again, the only reason we cancel is if I am traveling or if somebody else is traveling and coming to Portland. All right. Thank you very much. Granth-raj Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.